1040.com podcast. Your taxes, smart and simple. Hey, welcome to the 1040.com. You like how fast that was? The 1040.com podcast episode. I'm keeping it. Number 24.
I just was not prepared for that level of intensity.
I'll try it again.
Okay. No, that's okay.
Okay. 1040.com podcast. Here we are. Episode 24.
24.
Kind of a funny day because you shot episode 23 like 6 seconds ago.
I did.
And then I was here watching. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience.
Wow.
It was really special.
That's really intense.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yep.
Hey, ask me why I'm wearing a white shirt.
Why are you wearing a white shirt?
Because today we're talking about weddings.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're going to talk about weddings, and we're going to tack some tax knowledge onto the end of it. I think Sue's going to try this. We'll see, right? You've got 1, 2, 3.
The confidence in this man.
No.
Sue's going to try.
Here's what's going to happen. We're going to try and we're going to talk, and then I'm going to try and land the plane right into your first bullet.
All right.
So what's your first bullet?
Do you remember what my first bullet is?
You read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got
All right,
it?
I'm going to try and land the plane right when the wheels touch down. We're going right into that.
Okay.
All right.
I'll wait for the wheels.
Okay, so something you might not know about me is one of my first jobs out of school was working for this like music company, and one of the spokes of our deal was that we would go to bridal trade shows or like different wedding planning events and network with these wedding planners and florists and all these different people. And what we would do is a bride would reach out, a bride and groom, and they'd say, hey, we're getting married, our date's this. We'd say, okay, great. We want you to write a song for us. We'd say, okay. So we'd set up a meeting. This was our business. We'd write songs for
That's really
brides
cool.
and grooms. Brooms. Let's call them brooms. So we would meet at a coffee shop. They would come to the office, whatever it was. And we would go through a field of questions with them, almost like a case study. That's a weird thing to call it. But we'd add their favorite music. They would share stories about how they met, dates, all this different stuff. And we would compile all that information, take a week or two, and we'd write a song themed off that. So that's something you don't know about me. Before that, I've DJ'd a bunch of weddings. And all this to say, weddings add up really quickly.
Yes.
Right?
I didn't know that there was even such thing as a bridal show, going and going to the vendors and stuff. I've been reading a lot about photographers and freelancers and just kind of getting a better idea of that. And recently I saw someone said, you want to have some people were doing pamphlets, and she had almost kind of like a magazine that she would hand out to brides, so that they would flip through and get the whole story, and she would give them away at these bridal fairs. And I was like, what the heck's a bridal fair?
Yeah. So time out really quickly. We've got Logan and Tucker working cameras today, and then we've got Kayla in the room. And Kayla just got married
Did you go to a
3 weeks
bridal
ago?
fair?
4 weeks ago? A month ago? Yeah. Did you go to bridal shows?
No, I was too scared.
Exactly.
They're gonna take all my money.
And Tucker got married in the last 3 years. I thought it was 1 year. Whoops. Did your wife go to bridal shows? No. Yeah. We lived in Orlando at the time when we were doing this, and these trade shows would be 30,000 square feet of just wedding vendors. And
that's insane.
I mean, they would set up these incredible booths, and our booth was pretty sweet. It had music going and slideshows of how we operate. We had what are those cartoon videos? An informational, an infographic animated. What's it called? You guys do this. An infographic video kind of thing that showed our process.
Right.
But I mean, some of these booths had water features, the DJs that had lighting packages with their services. They had these crazy lights going. It was insane. And then they would do fashion shows with all these dresses. I don't know. It was crazy. But all that to say, they add up really quickly. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of things in this that we don't consider, right? So stuff that just cost that comes up. Kayla, what was one for you? A cost that you just didn't think would happen? Postage for invites.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? What's another one?
That. Napkins and tableware.
Yeah.
Plates, forks.
So stuff that you just assume is at events, and it's really not. The planner had to bring that there.
That's a really good point though, because a couple weekends ago I hosted a bridal shower, and it was at my house, and it was like if you looked at it from the outside, you're like, oh, it's pretty low key. You know, we got fancy and we ate little fingers. You did the girl thing, and but just getting it ready. You know, we didn't want to pay to have it catered or anything like that. We didn't want to fork out a lot of money. But even if you do it yourself, you have to. I never want to cut crust off of a sandwich ever, 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 ever again. Ever again. I was like, this is so pointless. Just eat the crust.
But you want to have like 7 kids. You're going to have to do that a lot.
I know. Well, my kids will eat the crust. I ain't got the time.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, you can tell them, like, no.
Yeah.
I did this once, a long time ago.
Yeah. When my brother was a toddler, my mom wanted him to eat his spaghetti, and he wouldn't eat his spaghetti for supper, so she put it in the fridge and told him the next meal he had would be that spaghetti, and he's never been picky since. He ate it for breakfast the next morning. Broke him.
What a mom,
early.
what a kid. I don't know. I'm not sure who won that.
It's good.
Anyway, so the planning of this bridal shower was crazy.
Yeah, so it was crazy.
And it's just cost. Like, even if you do it yourself, there's cost involved.
There's a lot of cost involved. And like you said, like, you take things for granted because you don't think about napkins or, you know, that sort of thing. And then when you have to serve a bunch of people, you're like, well, I have to get the nice napkins. You can't just do, like, the little quilted ones with, like, butterfly print. Like,
I think you could.
Pink and blue. Like, it's feminine. It's fine.
Kind of, yeah.
But yeah, those expenses do add up really quickly. Even if you're just doing it yourself. Unless just over time, you've been stashing away, like centerpieces, like, one day.
Hey, but there are sites that do that. You know, there are sites where you can rent out, like, or, like, brides will rent out, like, their... Did you come across any of that when you were...
Yeah, we rented tablecloths.
Yeah.
Tables and
yeah. But was it from a previous wedding? Like, did you ever find, like, a bride that was, like... Or now a married...
Oh, no, I wish. Now I'm trying to get rid of my stuff.
Exactly. So you're trying to get, some of that stuff.
Would you get rid of your... This is something that's very intriguing to me, is, like, the idea of renting a dress. Like your wedding dress. Some people have been doing that because they're like, I'm only going to wear it once. But then,
Let me just tell you something. My wife's wedding dress... I should have brought it. I should have put it on for this or something.
You
should.
Like, you're almost there.
Yeah, I should have had it sitting here. It has been hanging in a bag since, I was going to do a date, but I'm going to miss it big time. Her birthday was like 2 days before our wedding, and I can't ever get either one of them straight. It's been hanging in a bag since our wedding day in 2010. I think renting a dress is a great idea. Didn't know you could do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have them. I was looking, there are a lot of dress places that you can...
I'm also not a bride.
Yeah. Well, I just want to throw this out here. Just real quick.
And my wife doesn't watch this show, so she'll never know.
She'll never
What
know.
a fan, right? What a fan.
I'm going to tell her to watch this show.
Yeah.
Be like, hey.
Start watching this episode.
At this time mark. You're going to love it. But yeah, so I don't know. Like that, the idea of that, I would much rather buy something like custom made for like $100, $200, like with cheap material or whatever that just is really simple and keep it than rent something that I'm never gonna see again.
Like you wear it to the movies like the next weekend or something?
I would put a belt.
Yeah, like
put
belt
some
it up.
leggings on under that and like pull it up and
Hey, isn't that your wedding? I don't know. It looks a little different.
It's date night. It's fine.
Whatever. I had a thought and I was gonna say something.
Does that happen often?
Yeah. I can't remember where I was at. Something about renting. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what else is expensive? Cakes. Wedding cakes. I think it's the whole thing. This is what we're getting at with weddings. I think that everybody in the wedding industry, myself included, because I still to this day DJ wedding receptions for special people. No, I'm kidding. I don't take a lot, but I still do it. And there is money to be made. It's an event. It is a lot of time. I mean, minimum it's 4 hours, 4.5 hours of playtime, but that's like half a day of loading up equipment. It's a week of preparing music, you know, getting sessions loaded right, phone calls, messages with brides and grooms about how they want the reception to go. I mean, it's a lot, and then you're physically there for probably, if you're playing for 4 hours, you're there for 6.5, you know, or 6, you know, but by the time you load in, you load out, you know, whatever. But weddings are just expensive. They're just flat out expensive. So I think, like, I've worked with couples before who, like, just really knew what they wanted to do, and they spent money in certain areas, and then they saved a ton of money in other areas.
Right.
But they were able to do that because they planned. They knew what they wanted to be really special, and they knew where they didn't, maybe necessarily care as much about a certain thing. One thing I always tell people, if you're dancers, get a good DJ. If you're memory people, get a really good photographer. Am I right?
Yeah, that's
like
a good
if
point.
that's like those photos. I mean, we still look back at our photos, and the ones of like the wedding party and ourselves, like those are cool. But the ones we like the most are like people at the reception, because like you guys could vouch for this. Like how many you probably won't have all of those people in a room again. I mean, like
Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you've got like really like the most special people
That's
in
what
your
I'm
life.
ready for.
Yeah, all that like you've got the most special people in your life all in one room celebrating, like this really cool day in this moment. So I say get a good photographer and make sure that they know that you want pictures of the people that are at your wedding.
And that's name of the game when it comes to budgeting and doing any kind of finance. Like like you said, there's every element of the wedding is going to be expensive in its own, because you have to, if you are a wedding, vendor of any kind, like if you do DJing or if you make cakes, that sort of thing, you want your product to be really, really good. And so you want to treat what you do as if it was kind of that centerpiece item.
Yeah.
But, understanding, your own budget for your wedding, understanding, like you said, that's a really good point of like what's more important to you. Is it more important to have like a 17-layer Lord of the Rings cake with like the tree at the top and all that?
That's what I want.
One of my friends did that and it was really cool. But or do you want the photos? Do you want the memories? Do you want the music, that sort of thing? So yes, it's all going to be really expensive, but you can choose where to like really splurge and when to buy the quilted butterfly napkins.
Yep. Yeah.
I wouldn't do that for a wedding probably. Unless they were silver butterflies.
I hope I'm invited to your wedding, and when I sit down at your reception, I just want to see, that means you have to invite me to your wedding now. I just want to see those napkins, and if nowhere else, just have it where I sit.
Just where
so on your wedding day, remember to give me cheap napkins. Let's make it about myself.
One place card. The only person who has an assigned seat, and it'll just say like Pauly G. Garner, DJ, and you won't even be there to DJ.
Yeah, but I won't be DJing.
And underneath your plate will be a quilted napkin. We'll be like, remember the 1040 podcast? Do you remember how much fun that was?
Remember episode 24 when we talked about napkins?
That's how we talk about the podcast in our spare time. Do you remember episode 18?
We reference episodes, yeah. No, one episode, I should know the number. That episode where we wore like the most like non-matching colors possible.
It wasn't even colors. It was I was wearing
ridiculous.
like aqua and you were wearing a
Black.
parka.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had like a hat on. It was kind of spring, but it kind of snowed.
Right.
It was a weird day.
It
And
was
we
a weird
represented that anyway.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
we're
anyway.
at like 30,000 feet. Logan in the room's a pilot, and I've been traveling this weekend. So we're at like 30,000 feet, and the pilot just came on. He said, we're going to be touching down in about 20 minutes, but not really 20 minutes. I don't have that much content. So we're going to put our tray tables up.
Okay. That's good.
So all of that, we've talked about how expensive weddings are a lot. And hey, listen, if you are a wedding vendor, you're a DJ, you're a photographer, you're a videographer, you're a wedding planner, whatever. I'm not hating on you guys. I'm one of you. I feel your pain when you go through some of these wonderful events.
Yeah, but if
I'm not hating on how expensive it is. I get it. And I want to just tell you, reference back to some of Sue's blogs, because we got a lot of good freelance material for you. And when you file your taxes with 1040.com, we took last year to specialize in making your filing process really simple. And I'm just going to say it's awesome. We had a lot of good feedback. So if you're a freelance, if you're a wedding vendor, I love you guys and appreciate what you do. File your taxes with 1040.com. It's really easy.
He'll appreciate you more.
Yeah, I'll appreciate you. I won't know.
No. I will have no idea.
What were you going to say?
So,
we're at 10,000 feet now.
Yeah, it's good. So, but yeah, just kind of going back to that, your art is, yours, and some people may really, really want that really top quality thing. So there's no shame in charging top dollar for a really amazing product, especially if it's like, okay, well, if cakes are your thing, you're gonna have an incredible cake if you come with me. So we're not knocking, we don't think it shouldn't be as expensive because you guys are making incredible stuff. Absolutely. But it's just understanding what you want to spend on what you don't.
Yeah.
So
and as a couple, knowing exactly that, like that's where we want to put our money when we do our wedding. All right, so there are some things, like we've kind of talked about the planning and price tags along with some things, which is awesome, but there's some more technical, not fun things when it comes to, I don't know, maybe like, it could be fun, I guess how you look at it. But one of those is like the legal work to get your name changed. Right. Right? We're at like 2,000 feet, and I just took that baby right in there.
I like
that's that number one on your...
That is so subtle how you keep referencing that plane.
But like, I mean, that's a big deal. Bank accounts, hit it. Like, go for it. Insurance. Right. What's it looking like?
Here we go. Okay,
like,
so
that plane, those back wheels they're getting close to the ground.
Oh my gosh.
This will be the last time I use this reference, so I'm just milking it for all it's worth.
All right,
go.
All it's worth.
Go.
Okay, so you keep telling me to go, and then you go back to the plane. I'm going. Okay, so just some housekeeping things for finances and for records that will help you on your taxes whenever you go to do them in January. Update your name. If you're changing your name, make sure that you update it with the Social Security Administration, the IRS, your employer, and your state. So there's 4 different places that you want to go to make sure that they know your new name. Because when you go to file your taxes...
Kayla raised her hand. You got some input on? Oh, I was going to add to that. And your thumbs down is like a... When you get that tick list done, it's like something to celebrate, right? Like when you make it through all of the name change process, you go celebrate. You throw a party.
A name change party. All right.
Yeah, big one.
So the next thing is you want to decide whether you want to join your finances together completely or if you want to keep them separate. For most people, it will be more beneficial to combine finances, but in some cases, it's better actually to keep them separate. So we have blog posts about that if you want to kind of delve more into that. But making that decision and being intentional about it is really important. And the last thing is to calculate your new tax liability. So whether you keep your finances separate or if you join them together, you're going to want to know, okay, where am I now? Because just because you got a refund last year and he got a refund last year, and now that you got married doesn't mean you're going to have twice the refund necessarily. So you want to be aware of that, especially now. It's kind of, there's not been a lot of time since you filed your taxes, so that stuff is probably still at the top of your filing cabinet. Right. So just kind of going back through that, we have an awesome tax calculator on the website where you can go. It'll ask you a few basic questions about how much you made or how much you expect to make, and you can calculate, okay, am I going to get a refund? Am I not? It's just an estimate, but it's a good, kind of bird's eye view. And just as a side note, we also have a button in there that will break down tax reform for you. So you go through, you calculate your taxes, it'll tell you, will you get a refund, will you, owe taxes, and then there's also a button that says, how will tax reform affect me? And that's super cool. It breaks it down.
And lucky for these guys, if they're not married or will be married before this filing season, they have no idea what that could have been or what it would have looked like years prior. Yeah.
So it's really cool stuff, and that's all I got.
All right, sweet. So I'm going to give one more plane reference. Like, the worst part of flying is when you land, and then you've got like a 20-minute taxi, right, to the gate. Yes. So we just used your points. We're at the gate. We're seatbelt signs off. We're getting off.
I was going to ask if we're just going to, sit here for 20 minutes in silence, like you do on a plane. Yep. Just for the metaphor.
The worst. I got to tell you this. I was flying from Washington, D.C. to Toronto, and I'm expecting, a fairly large city, right, D.C., not the biggest in the world, but it's a big city, an important city, and we're going to Toronto. International flight, barely, but international flight, in a big city, right? I mean, it's a cool place. So we go to the gate, and I hadn't looked out the windows yet. I mean, we're just hanging out. We go to board, and I had to go down these steps, and passport, that whole deal. They said, go outside, take the 3rd bus. I'm like, a bus? So we get on the bus and we drive. We're driving on the tarmac. Is that what it's called? Tarmac? I'm from North Carolina. The tarmac. We get off and there's this pack of bubble gum sitting there with wings on it. And that's what we get on. it's got one row down the other side, like down one side, and 2 seats down this side. What is this called? Like it's a.
That's not that small of a plane, Paul.
It felt small. It felt really small. Like, so we get on, and we hadn't been sitting there for like maybe 5 minutes. They're about to do the safety, and this pilot like gets out of his seat. They hadn't like shut the door yet. I'm like, when he stands up that close to takeoff, you know something's wrong. He stands up and he like walks down, and he tells the flight attendant that they did not perform the security check, I don't know, on this aircraft. So we all get up. Luckily, there's only like 50 of us, and the plane's full. We get off. We get back on the bus. We stood on the bus for less than a minute. This guy walks on wearing his like neon vest. He literally poked his head in the plane and went like this, gave the thumbs up, and we all got back on. Then we flew in that pack of juicy fruit all the way to Toronto.
Did you say a lot of prayer?
No, I didn't, because
I would have been like, Lord, you're gonna have to protect us.
He just like went like this and gave the. All right.
Nope.
Hey, keep sharing this with your friends. 2 weeks from now, we will be filming with Sue's sister. I will be filming with Sue's sister. She is a. What is the exact type of art?
She's a. The type of art she's studying is sequential.
I gotta look that word up. Okay.
So like graphic novels.
Yeah, graphic novel artist.
But for now, she's doing kind of like character studies. So somebody will have, like a video game character that they want, like just a drawing of, and so they'll send her the description and she'll add in all the details, that sort of thing. So
it's
that's
awesome.
That's what she does for making money.
So we're going to be interviewing her pretty much from this point on. Our show will primarily be guest-driven, where we talk a lot about what people do, how they operate, and then at the end of the episode, we'll slap some tax knowledge on it for you guys. Keep sharing this with your friends. Keep watching. Keep listening. We really appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next time.